Today, I have the privilege of speaking with someone who had a meaningful impact on my life. My former English teacher from Hollister High School, Dr. Dana Woodward. Dr. Dana spent 26 years teaching high school English before expanding her work beyond the classroom. She earned her doctoral degree from University of Missouri and is now an educational expert, entrepreneur, and public speaker. In addition to her work in education, she co-owns a successful private chef business with her husband and serves as the president and founder of Miss Emma's Foundation, a nonprofit dedicated to supporting individuals with hearing impairments. Dr. Dana, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here, Hannah.
Aw, I'm glad. So my goal with Save and Sealed podcast is to hear people's stories. I would love to just get to know people on a deeper level than just what they might be helping me out with. So I would love to hear wherever you want to start, wherever you're comfortable, but who is Dr. Dana?
Well, that's a good question because 5 years ago it was different than what it is today, and I imagine 5 years from now it'll be different as well. If it's something that I feel God leads you on a path, and when it's time to turn right or turn left, God's going to be right there with you, and it's an amazing, amazing journey. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes it's exciting. And the whole time you know that God is with you, you know? Yeah, absolutely, just with me. So I would have said before, I'm a high school English teacher. In fact, that's how you and I met, right? Um, I I think of you and Sean Loftus and
Mm-hmm.
Hollister High School, and God had me there for a reason, and God had you standing in my doorway for a reason. And so if you would have asked me then who I am, I'm like, well, I'm just a freshman English teacher, right? Here I am.
Yeah.
Then, but God had a bigger purpose for both of us, right? God
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm going to put Hannah right here in your doorway because she's going to teach you a lot in the next 4 years. She did. And she became a very special part of my career, right? And that
Oh,
I just loved having you in my classroom and I loved learning from you. And now to think even now today, like how many years has it been since you graduated? Has it been
I graduated 2020.
okay, here we are 6 years later.
Yeah.
So, right? So
Um,
like the Mrs. Woodward that you knew that turned into Dr. Dana, right? At 2020 when you
yeah.
graduated, because I graduated that same year.
Mhm.
Like she's different now,
Mhm.
6 years later, because I'm not at Hollister High
Yeah.
School anymore. I now run a business with my husband, a private chef business, which is also a God thing. Like I just look back at my life and it's God, God, God every time. And even when you think, man, was God right there with me? Yeah, he was. He's directing
Yeah,
that path and putting people in your life for a certain reason.
for sure. Whenever you were a kid, what did you want to be? I'm just curious.
Oh my goodness, you're just asking 80s girl, a Gen X, right? Like I wanted to be
Ooh, it's a fun.
Madonna or Cyndi Lauper, like really a rock
Oh.
star girl, hair, the whole thing, right? So
Because everybody has a different answer to that. I asked my mom what she wanted to be, and my mom just wanted to be a mom.
uh,
So it's fun to
it
hear
is
that.
fun. It is so
Yeah.
fun. And I love hearing people's answers. You're right. And I believe that's one of the steps that God was with me in as well is he made me a mom, even though I wasn't sure I was going to be a mom. And it took me through a lot of steps that I wouldn't have been able to be a mom later in my life. So I'm grateful for that. And my son is like, he just told me he'll be 35 this year. And I'm like, wait, what? It's kind of hard to believe. So, but then again, you look back in God every time. And I asked my mom the same thing, like, I feel like my life, I can look back and see God. And she said, yeah, she's going to be almost 80. And she says the same thing. Just keep looking for God because you can see him behind you because, hindsight's always 2020 and you look back and you're like, God, there you were. But she said, if you keep looking forward, God's there too, right? He's in your next steps and be ready for those next steps because he's right there with you. Yeah.
That's so good. Yeah, it speaks to like his faithfulness. That's
Oh,
probably one of my favorite characteristics about him. That if he's done it before, he'll do it again, and he was there in all of it. Um,
oh, Hannah, that is so true. I'm just gonna say this because that is a term I've used in the past 4 days over and over. Like I'm so grateful for
mm,
God's faithfulness, right? And I have little dachshunds that you knew, like Rebel and Dixie, and my Dixie passed away. But in the past 4 days, my Rebel has passed away. And
mm,
if anybody knows me, they know like I love my little dachshunds. But a
mm,
month ago, my little dachshund was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. And he couldn't breathe
mm,
very well. We got into the emergency room, and they said, we don't know, maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe a month, don't know. And
mm,
I would pray to God, God, please don't let him die. Please don't let him die. We
mm,
have this big VIP event, right? That we were working as the rogue chef. And then I would say, God, please don't let him die. Miss Emma is here and I don't want him to die while she's here. And then I would say, God, please don't let him die. We have to be in St. Louis and he's going with us, and for an entire month, I would pray, God, please don't let him die. God, please don't let him die. And this past weekend, we had a women's event where I spoke about women and leadership and what women really want. And it was something that I really worked on. And I prayed, God, please don't let Rebel die because I can't take him with me, which we always take him everywhere we go, and he has to be here. But I would always remember that this is a time that would happen. And so, God, please just don't let him die. Like I just kept praying and praying and praying. And we came home for that event. It was a successful event for the Rogue Chef, successful for Miss Emma's Foundation, and then successful for me presenting. And here comes Rebel, like waddling down the hall. And I'm like, God, you're so faithful. You're so faithful. And I know that he is not doing well. But every single time for the past month, there's God. Every time. Thank you, God. You did not let him die. You did not let him die. And then I just held Rebel and I said, all right, God, I understand. And I know I tear up, but
oh my
my little
goodness.
dogs have taught me so much about God
Mhm.
and his faithfulness to us and his love for us that I can't
Yes.
imagine that I learned any other way, you know?
Oh,
Yeah. And that if
yeah.
I love my little wiener dog this much, right? Can you imagine how much God loves us?
Mhm. And I even remember that from high school because your dogs were like
Oh,
your favorite thing.
yes.
And so it just breaks my heart that because
Oh,
I never got to meet Rebel or any of your pups, but I remember even from whenever I was in high school, they were always there.
they
And I
were.
would see stuff online and they're like the best companions.
Oh,
So that
absolutely.
breaks my heart for you
Well,
because I know how much they meant to you.
absolutely. But I have to say, like God
Mhm.
gave me, that was a gift from God, that
Yes.
extra month. And every
Mm.
day I could feel God like, okay, God, you're here. You're protecting him. You're protecting me. You're helping me push forward. And then, and then I knew, okay, God, you've gotten me through everything. And I understand. I don't understand. I don't want him to die. Like, give me another 15 more years. It won't be enough. But it's just a way for me to just see God's grace and his faithfulness in my life. And it's amazing how God works through animals, how he works through people, um, how he just works through things that if you're willing to look for God, he's right there with you.
Yeah. When that month that prolonged with him and was a gift, was there ever any fear or was there peace knowing that he was struggling, but that yeah, was there fear or
Yeah,
was there peace or both?
there was some fear, of course. Like I didn't want him to
Yeah,
die. I didn't want that.
yeah.
But at some point, you become like, okay, I don't want him to die, but I don't want him to suffer, and I would say, but God,
Yeah.
please don't let him die now, right? Because
Yeah.
now is not, I don't
I
want
mean,
this for Emma. I don't want this for whatever was going on. And
true.
yeah, but at the
It's
same
like,
time, like, God, I don't want him to suffer. I've,
yeah.
yeah.
And it's hard because we also know like the Lord has the full capacity to
Oh,
heal anything.
oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's so hard
Well,
to
I can
see
tell
anybody
you,
suffer with
he
health.
healed. Oh, I know. He healed my Rebel. I've had him 15 years since he was a baby. And so Rebel had broke his back at one point, had to have back surgery, and all the way to Columbia, I held him and I prayed, Lord, again, don't let him die. Please heal him. I know he has to have surgery, like protect him. And God did. God was faithful right through that, right? And when we moved, from St. Louis to Branson, I prayed those same prayers, like, God, please be with my dachshunds, like they were that support that I just felt like God was with. And I have this picture of Rebel and this little yellow ball. I should have like stuck it with me. I didn't realize I was going to talk about him so much, but this is a God story that I will never in my life forget. Rebel had this little yellow ball that he loved to play with, right? It was his ball, and Dixie never played with it, just Rebel. And it had rolled off our patio and down onto the ground. We lived by the lake, and so we didn't know it. It had happened during like 4th of July weekend, and where we live on the lake, there's just lots of people that come by, and we searched the house forever. We didn't know that it had rolled off, right? And we had searched the house. We couldn't find the ball anywhere. And my little dog was just frantic, like he'd run around the house looking for this ball. And I searched everywhere to find a new one like it. Of course, nothing matched, not even a tennis
Sure.
ball, which is yellow. And 12 days after that initial day we knew the ball was gone, I had gone for a walk in front of our condo here in front of the lake, and I had known, like there's been hundreds of people come by here. There's no way that there's a ball here. And we walked and we walked, and Rebel was just searching and searching and searching. And I picked up Rebel and I just cried out to God, right? I'm like, God, I don't care what's happening. This little dog is frantic for the past 12 days. I've seen him looking for this ball. And please, 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 please hear my little dog's prayer, right? And I'm like crying now as I'm telling you, because Hannah, as I live and breathe right now, I turned around with Rebel, and right there on the shore of the lake was that yellow ball. And I looked up and I said, God, that's you. God, that's you. That's you. That's you. That's you. Right. And I knew that I knew that I knew. And I went over there and I picked up that yellow ball. And of course, Rebel, like, that was it. Like, I know I have his little yellow ball here, but God has one for him that he's playing with in heaven. And it sounds like a crazy story, which is why I say God talks to you in ways if you want to listen, right? Right? Because people say, well, that's crazy. Like, give a dog a ball, like whatever. Yeah, God did that for me. God did that for my Rebel because I asked, right? And then I think about, that's what it says in the Bible, right? Like, ask God for what you need. Ask God for what you want, right? And he will fulfill those needs. He will be there for you. And I believe that he was there in times of struggles, like a back surgery, like really like this is a physical thing. And he was there for something that Rebel just wanted, right? And then he was even there into this extra month of his life to really give us both time to just cherish his life and the joy that God has given through him, through his life. Yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah.
You're obviously an entrepreneur
Yeah.
and have started a lot of fun things. I would love to get into how those things were founded, how they started, and just the journey so far.
Oh my goodness. It's again a God journey, right? It's a God journey because to be honest with you, I thought that I would like live and die in a school teaching high school English for the rest of my life, right? Or until they like scooped me up and like, hey, you're 100 years old, get out of here, right? But God had different plans and he didn't tell me about them, which is also something I can tell you that, I asked God, I'm like, God, why didn't you tell me this? Like, if you could give me
Mm.
some heads up. And I like walk and talk to God and I said, if you could have told me, like, this is what's going to happen to you, like, be prepared. I feel like I could have done this better. And I heard God whisper to me, He said, Dana, you wouldn't believe me anyway, right? And I thought, I heard that so loud and clear that I was like, you got me. You got me, God, right? Because if God would have said, 14 years ago when I taught in Illinois, if he'd have said, hey, you're going to live in Branson, Missouri, and you're going to be a cheerleading coach and you'll get your doctorate degree, I'd be like, "Psh, God, I don't know who you're talking to, but not me, right? And then even down here, if he'd have said, like, look, you're not going to teach high school anymore, I would have shut him off right there. Like, nope, you don't understand. That's my life's goal. That's what I went to school for. You know what I mean? And and then once I heard God say that, like, you're not going to believe me anyway, I thought, all right, let's just buckle up. We are on a ride that God is driving, and I'm excited to see where it goes, right? So, I taught for a year, and I worked with my husband in this private chef business, and it was, right after 2020, after COVID, what a nightmare, right? But here in Branson, we were experiencing lots of tourists coming into Branson, and they wanted a private chef to come out and cook for them in their vacation homes, in their private rentals. And it was something that my husband was doing. And so he'd say, come along with me, or he would be working with a friend who also did private chef business. And so I would go with him, and I'm like, Jeff, I think we could do this. Like, let me help you make a menu. Let me help you email, potential clients. Let me help you with some social media. And before I know it, in a year's time, I'm like, boom, like the Rogue Chef is like bigger than I thought, right? Bigger than my husband thought. It's a God thing for sure. And, like, wait a minute, I'm going to co-own a business. And my husband's actually going to agree to let me be 51% so we can be a women-owned business. Yay to all women-owned businesses, right? Um, and that, wow, God, we're going to do this. And then God says, yeah, and you don't need to teach anymore. I'm going to take care of you, right? And I said, oh, really? Really? Like, are you sure, God? Are you sure? Right? And I love how we question God. It shows the childhood nature of being human, right? That I think about you at your age, I'm sure you're questioning God, but I want you to know me at my age, I'm still questioning God. And my mom at her age, still questioning God. Like, but also that trust, right? Again, we're right back to his faithfulness. He's been there every single time. So I quit my teaching job and jumped into this with 2 feet with my husband. And now here we are, 5 years later, maybe a little bit more. We have 4 chefs that work for us. We have a long line of assistants that work for us. And we are we are a premier private chef company here in Branson, Missouri, and I absolutely love it. So uh, it's it's so much fun. I I thought, like, how am I going to serve people? Because that was, I thought, my life's mission, to serve students and serve teachers and as an educator, right? And here in the same job, I serve as well, right? I serve the chefs by working with them, by educating them, by helping them with jobs. I serve people. Like, I serve people who come to our community and need that delicious food. Now, I don't make the food. My husband and all the do that.
Yeah.
That's not a skill or a gift that God gave me. That's okay. He doesn't have to give me that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he gave me a different skill, that I can communicate and work with people, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I love it. What about Miss Emma's
Oh my
foundation?
goodness.
That
So
one's special.
it is. It really is. My husband made this it's called Miss Emma's mac and cheese, right? And he initially created this mac and cheese, I don't know, recipe
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
for Emma. She was born she had a lot of trouble when she was born, and I think you remember because she was born in 2018, and then you were in my class, and oh, it was a time, but she was sent home with a G tube, and that's a little tube in their stomach where they're fed, And so she wouldn't eat anything. And so Jeff would make this cheese sauce that he perfected that she loved it so much. Everything we did had to have Miss Emma's mac and cheese or Miss Emma's cheese sauce, you know? And then as he began to sell this mac and cheese, we decided, oh, we're just going to take $1 from every sale and put it in a savings account. And I don't know, let's see what God has for it, you know? And then as that began to build and people began to learn about it, I thought, I wonder if this could be like a real nonprofit like that. Like, what if we could reach other people and other people with like hearing impairments or issues? I wasn't really sure like where it was going to go. And I actually did a podcast with my friend. We called it Best Business Besties here in Branson. A little alliteration there, tongue twister. But we had interviewed a woman who set up nonprofits. And when she said that, I said, oh God, there you are, right? Like, was I asking about that? And that's not like a need. I don't need a nonprofit, right? I wanted,
Sure.
right? I wanted to do this for Emma, but God also knows there are people who need that nonprofit, right? Said,
Mm.
here, I'm going to show you how to set that up. And I was able to work with this person to get everything set up. And now it's a foundation that we have a website, missmsfoundation.org. You know, we have a board of directors. We were able to use money that comes in to help families with medical expenses, to help them with travel expenses, to help with hearing devices, and then to even go into schools and educate students about hearing impairments. I was so frustrated with Emma's school because this happened before, but a student had taken her hearing aid, right? And she wore this like a headband around her head, and it's called a Baha unit. And a student had taken it because they had taken it off for nap time. And it was a whole ordeal because here Emma is like, she doesn't have her hearing device. My son is like, wait a minute, you wouldn't send a kid home without their wheelchair. You know, like there's all this really like confusion and like, what do we do? And you're angry and you're upset. And then one of the parents calls, you know, the school and says, hey, my daughter has it in her backpack. My daughter wanted to know why Emma is so cool and gets to wear a headband and she doesn't. And I thought, what? Look at that perspective. Like other kids think she's cool, where I'm worried that they're going to be making fun of her because she's wearing this, right? And then I said, why aren't you telling people she's deaf? Like she can't hear. She needs this hearing device to help. And the teachers looked at me and said, didn't you say you were an educator for like 26 years? I'm like, well, yeah. They said, well, you know that violates HIPAA law, right? You can't talk to other children, other parents, anybody about a medical a medical issue. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I said, so I can't come in as a grandparent or a parent or not even as a teacher, right? I said, what about a nonprofit? Can a nonprofit come in and talk about hearing impairments? Oh, yes, please come on in. And I said, oh, look, God, there you are again. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So fun hearing this because, and that's my goal with this podcast is to see God in other people's lives. Like this, even though we're not like together right now, but this close and almost like personal. That's just amazing.
It is amazing. And if you're
Mhm.
willing to look for God, He's there. He's there.
Mhm.
And even
Yeah.
in times when you are just broken, right? He's there.
Yeah. Mhm. For sure.
Because I think we've all been in that broken place. I was there on Monday with Rebel, right? And just like, God, my heart
Mhm.
breaks. But, and I had to add, but thank you for that extra month because I can
Mhm.
see you there. You know, I can see
Yes.
God right where I can see him here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You kind of, it's fun because I was hoping to get kind of like the metaphoric death to life situations from people, but I kind of heard it from Rebel.
Yeah.
It's kind
It's
of fun.
that interesting
But
that we
I
learn
am,
so much. Yeah.
uh-huh. Do you have kind of a situation like that, whether it was like in young adulthood, where you kind of had one of those metaphoric, like blind but now I see, or moments with Christ?
Man, girl, I've had so many of them. I think God would say, like, you gonna learn yet? Like, how many times do I have to do this, right? I mean, I can look back at my life and like, I, God, thank you for being with me because I screwed it up. I messed it up, and here you are still with me. And there you are still with me. And I could tell you about being a teenage mom, right? It's tough, right? God was there, right? I could tell you about wondering if I was going to get through college, and God was there. Um, a marriage of 34 years, yeah.
Speaking of that,
Yes.
didn't you also have a TV show now too, or
Oh, yes,
something?
yes, we did. We do a cooking show. It's called Let's Go Rogue, and it's been on all these channels. It's fantastic. Like I know, like if God's like, "Hey, we're gonna, make a cooking show with you," I would have still been like, "I don't know who you're talking to, God, but you might have the wrong channel here," right? Every time he's like, "Look, here I am. Like I'm going to take you places that you never even imagined you would go." Right?
Mhm.
Because when I taught you, if you'd have said, "Hey, you think you're going to run a cooking show?" I'd be like, no. Please, let's move on with something, about Shakespeare or I don't know, like
Well,
yeah,
yeah, even my story from high school, like whenever I was in high school, like a relationship with the Lord wasn't so prominent in my life. So even just 6 years, I mean, 5, 6 years now, the fact that like I'm also running like a ministry is
absolutely.
just like kind of what you're alluding to is like that he's here.
Yeah. Yeah, he's right
Yeah.
there.
He's like, hi.
Yeah.
It's almost like I wish we would learn the lessons quicker,
Oh my
but at the same time, there's something about the journey he's taking us on so that we can learn it in the perfect timing and
God.
so that it can be at the fullest effect, bless others, all of it whenever we do learn it. I just think that's important part of our walk too.
It is. And when they say like life's not about the destination, it's the journey. I'm like, yeah, but I got plans. I know where I need to get at a certain time, and God's always like,
Mhm.
hold on. And I can tell you, I know it's funny to hear you say like, I didn't feel like God was there as much in my high school journey, but every time you stepped foot in my classroom,
Mhm.
every time I talked with you, every time that I worked with you, I knew God was with you.
Mhm.
And I just felt this complete connection to you and that God, I don't know, God brought us together for a reason, right? I
He
can't
really
explain it.
did.
I don't know. It's a
Mm-mm.
God thing, but it was
Yeah.
there. And so even when you don't feel like God's there, he's there. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's there.
Yeah, I would totally agree. I remember you were just kind of a support throughout everything. And even, I mean, still to this day, you're on my prayer team and like almost like the like front lines. And I just remember there was like a day I wanted to kind of, I don't remember if I was maybe coming to preview what it might be like, but I had a, something set up with one of the counselors and they're like, why don't we call at the time Miss Woodward?
Right.
And you came in and you just like almost reassured me that I'm here for you, like I've got you, and you're like that perfect example of sticking to it and a promise you've made because you really never left.
Hmm.
Like even to this day you're someone I go to with advice on writing and books, business and
Hmm.
prayer requests, just sharing like the life's journey. And I just think we do have a very special connection and bond.
I agree.
And yeah,
I agree.
and I'm so grateful.
And can you imagine if somebody would have said, hey, you see this woman sitting in front of you? She's going to help you as you start your ministry. She's going to help you as you write a book. You'd have been like, what? Right? You'd
Yeah,
be like really
yeah,
overwhelmed. And I probably would have been like, I don't know who you're talking to, but go to the other room. Like that's not going to happen with us. And again, like if God told us what was going to happen in our life, we absolutely would not believe him. No, we just wouldn't believe him.
I think of the verse, I don't know what it is, but it's the our thoughts are not your thoughts, our
Mm,
ways are not your ways. But
yeah,
he just sees it and thinks it's so much different than us.
he does.
And that alone, like his faithfulness, his ways alone, are what we can have faith and trust in that it will all work out. I'm
Absolutely.
curious, do you have a scripture that you just love or that you've just clung to, even if it's just the past 5 days?
Oh, you know what? I think about that verse that you just said, right? Um,
Mhm.
and because God allowed me to see that verse when I worked with high school students because I could see them come in as
Mm.
freshmen and I knew the end result. Like, I have to get you across that stage for graduation. That's my job. That's what God has brought me to do to help these students, right? And you, as a freshman entering, you're not thinking about graduation. You're just thinking about, I don't want to be in a class with all these high school kids. I don't want to do all this work. I'm scared out of my mind, right? And so but since I'm able to see the big picture, which is just 4 years in your life, I'm able to help you to get to that point. And so when I think about God looking at our life, right, he says, I see you when you were born. In fact, he says, I knew you when I knit you in the womb, right? That's a verse. He knew that. He knew us then. And he knows when we're going to die, right? He knew when he was going to take Rebel home. He knows when he's going to take us home. And he can see that big picture. So when we're like, why is it taking me 5 years to learn this lesson? He's like, it's just 5 years. Hold on, girl, because I got a whole lot more for you, right? And so that's a verse that I really clung to as a teacher. Um, and just knowing that God's ways are not my ways. And I will never understand God's ways, but I'm blessed by his ways for sure.
Yeah, that's so motivational. Is there anything else you want to share regarding your story? Do you have anything coming up? Do you
Hmm.
anything you would like to share?
Well, I think we're doing so many things that
Mhm.
I wouldn't believe that God would let me speak to other women and work with women in such a way. I just love it, and our business gets to work with so many wonderful chefs, and I'm excited about that. But I think I would just want to encourage any woman, any girl, any Miss Emma, right? No matter what age, what part of your journey you're in, like keep trusting God because God knows your whole journey. He knows how it's going to go and he's here for you the whole time through, right? Like he knows your path. He already knows that it's going to be successful. That's what he's here for. And so just keep moving forward, keep trusting in God, and find those women in your life that you can lean on, right? Uh, there are women business owners, just like yourself, just like me. They're all over Branson, Hollister, all nationwide, right? In my speech, I said 42% of all American businesses are women owned. So we should lean on each other. It's hard, right? You know it is. But God's here with us. And if we have that support system, we're going to make it. God's behind us. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for coming on the Save and Sealed podcast and best wishes to all of your entrepreneur endeavors.
Oh, thank you so much. It's truly been an honor to chat with you. Thank you.
Thanks.